Good morning, America. Good afternoon, Europe. And good evening, Australia. This is SollyJo from WoodUbend. Today, we're going to be doing one of my favourite projects, Steampunk. And I haven't done a steampunk project for maybe 5 or 6 months when I did that little sewing trolley. Right, so I'm just going to show you how these things warm up before we carry on. And I'm going to start off with a TR 009. That's the wrong one though, that's the broken one. That's the other one. So all these trims come in a roll of 84 inches. This is the TR, as I said, TR 009. You can see the pattern there. And these designs are exclusive to Dixie Belle in the USA. So I can open that up and I can twist that around any surface. I could make a bangle out of it. Anyway, the options are endless. So I've got that nice and warm. I'm just going to pop that on my griddle for 2 minutes so it stays nice and warm. And I'm going to come in and put some of the TR 009 on here. Now, when you are adhering your WoodUbend mouldings, always use a good quality wood glue. I'm going to come in with the trim now. Now, it is a little bit too thick that way. I want to really get it. I don't know whether you can see it, but there's quite a big curve in here. So I'm going to chop off this length, and I'm just using an ordinary Stanley knife here. A bit too happy with the glue there. And we generally say that the WoodUbend mouldings take the same amount of time to cool down as they do to warm up. So if you are playing with a really thick piece, you do have a lot of time to play with it and adjust it on the surface. Whereas if you're playing with some of these really thin trim pieces like this trim here, and I'm going to slap the butterfly right in the middle there. So this is design 2000. So we're now going to get some of the WoodUbend Cogs on. Now this here is 056. You get all these 8 lovely bits in there. So this is the larger cog out of the set. And I'm going to come in. I want that to sit in that corner there. So I'm just going to come in with my knife and I'm going to slice it. So they're very easy to slice through once you've got them nice and warm. I'll do another cut there, and then that can just sit in the corner. Never throw any of your pieces away because you can always use them on another project. I've not got that straight there, so I can actually shave that. I'm just making this up as I'm going along. We might get another one coming up there. And I'm not going to wipe the glue off here on purpose. I want that to look like old rust, and when I get all my paint on, it will look like it's been pulled from the bottom of a trench or the ocean. If you've got a fiddly surface, or like I did with the trim, I put the glue onto the actual substrate as opposed to putting it on the back of the WoodUbend moulding. If you make a mistake and you want to remove a WoodUbend moulding, this is how you do it. Warm your WoodUbend moulding up really well. Even if months have gone by, you keep dispersing the heat over the full surface. It's another thing as well, if you're using a heat gun, be careful not to char your WoodUbend mouldings. Keep the heat gun moving. Can you get me a pencil? Thank you very much. So it's nice and soft now. I'm just going to prise it off the surface. It's going to bring some of the paint off as well, but that's okay. My base paint was just so I could see what I was doing. So there you go. The WoodUbend moulding is off. It's intact. It's got a bit of silk, black sands on it. Nice and floppy. So I'm going to go for a different arrangement here. I'm going to come in and make them really warm again so I can really press them into those ridges. I hope he's warm enough there. Just slide him up. And I'm bringing him right into that corner there. Now I need something to hold it because, as I said before, they take the same amount of time to cool down as they do to warm up. Right, shall we do some texture now? So I'm just going to come straight into my jar now, like that. And I'm just going to come in and dollop it all over. That's a British word, by the way, dollop. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to gently drag across, just knocking all the peaks off. And I would say that once you see your Dixie mud starting to go a lighter colour around the edges where you've applied it, I'd say that's a good time to come in and do this. We put trim on the left hand side. I think we'll put some trim in here now. I'm going to come in, before I really bend that in, I'm just going to come in and cut that. Now, when you're adhering your WoodUbend mouldings to the surface, always remember to get the wood glue everywhere. I see a lot of people just doing this, putting little drops all over. It's not enough. It's not enough. So I'm going to pop that there. Once you've got So I've got a natural sea sponge here and I'm just dabbing the mud in and around the mouldings. I'm going to come in with my black sands in the silk. I'm just going to paint my Dixie Belle WoodUbend mouldings. And I'm just going to come in and very lightly drag over the surface. You can see I'm going backwards and forwards, left to right. And all you're doing is just very lightly knocking off the peaks. I've had a bit of, how can I say, with the Dixie mud, I've learned something. Once I stencil it on or use it, whereby I'm then going to come in and do another technique, I found that water and paint can reactivate it and rub it, and it just goes all mushy. So seal, if you're doing anything like this, or you're stenciling with the Dixie Belle mud, unless you want a really vintagey, porous surface, seal it. So I've sealed this with clear coat in satin. I'm not going to show you how to do that. This is the Moonshine Metallics by Dixie Belle. And I'm just going to decant some into a little thingamabob. And the great thing about the fact that I've put the satin sealer on it is that I can now play with the surface. Okay, so if I don't like something, I can just wipe it off. I can just wipe it off. going to come in here. Ooh, and that is way too, ooh, it's too harsh for me. And all I'm doing now with the baby wipe is just pushing the silver bullet into the nooks and crannies in and around the WoodUbend mouldings. So in some places I'm going to have a little bit more, in others less. I really want that metal to show up in some places. I want an organic look though, I don't want it the same all over the surface. So I'm going to use Steel Magnolia here on the butterflies, just to make those stand out a little bit more. Oh, I love this colour. And I think this with the silver will look awesome. Yeah. So now we've got our lovely texture going here. I'm going to do a little bit of stenciling, and we're going to be using the Posh Chalk Steampunk stencil. I'm not going to do it all over, I'm just going to give the background a hint of the Cogs